Say hello.
Hello.
Say hello. Here. And we can get started. So, some things in life bring us a lot of joy. One of those things for me is music. I love music. Anybody who knows me will tell you that I love music. I like all kinds of music too. Country, rap, R&B, hip-hop, heavy metal, death metal, all of that stuff. And depending on my mood, my favorite music genre changes. Music is something that I truly do not think I could live without. I listen to music when I drive, when I work out, when I do homework, and even when I shower. Music can turn a mundane activity into an interesting activity. I often have to take trips out of state for doctor's appointments, and that drive sometimes is super boring, but when I have music, it makes the drive so much more enjoyable. However, the most exciting experience when listening to music happens at a concert. Listening to your favorite songs in person, face to face with your favorite artist, is something that needs to be experienced. My first ever live music experience was at Vans Warped Tour 2018 in Salt Lake City. I loved it. This was not a concert, but it was a music festival. With the music festival, there's no seats, there's barely any shade to cool off from the sun, but it was still incredible. There were so many bands playing so many different songs. There were about 8 stages, and the small stages were for the small bands, and the big stages were for the big bands. The biggest appearances at the music festival was Asking Alexandria, Falling in Reverse, Black Veil Brides, and Real Big Fish. The events were nuts. This was my first time experiencing live music, and people were forming mosh pits and flashing themselves, and I even got convinced to go crowd surfing. Experiencing my first music festival with my friends was something that was truly special to me, and I will never forget it. After experiencing my first music festival, I knew I had to go to another one. However, in 2020, COVID came around, and we had no idea when anything would be normal again. So until mid-2021, there were no concerts to really be found. But once I heard about another festival that was taking place in Salt Lake City, I immediately needed to buy a ticket. I bought the ticket while I was sitting in my high school math class when I should have been listening to the teacher. I didn't even look at the artists who were performing until after I bought the ticket. I just knew I needed a break from being locked up from COVID for so long. Once I looked at the artists who were performing, my mouth dropped to the floor. All of my favorite music artists from the last 2 years were going to be there, so I was really excited. Unlike the last music festival, I went alone this time. I know of friends who were going, but I didn't really take anybody with me. That was probably a bad idea since I was only 17 at the time, and especially when you have no idea what kinds of people kind of go to those events. So it was kind of impossible to secure my safety, but I could protect my personal belongings, so I had a lock on my backpack in order to protect my wallet and personal belongings. Was it perfect? No. Did it work? Yeah, it worked pretty good. When I first arrived at the event, there was a line that wrapped all the way around the entire parking lot and all the way outside the event. It took me about 2 hours just to get to the front gates, where security guards would search you, and you would walk into this area where there were drink bars and merchandise stores. If you walked a little further, there was an open area with all the stages, and that is where the magic happened. My favorite thing about going to music festivals is the speakers. I'm kind of a speaker nerd, if anybody knows about that. Seeing the speakers was the craziest thing, because they had 6 subwoofers that were right up next to you in front of the crowd, and they had a wall of speakers that was just crazy loud. You could hear the music when you were driving up to the event, inside of the car. After going to a music festival, you could have a hard time hearing it for a few days. I know I did. This year in June, Salt Lake will be having another music festival, and once the tickets went on sale, I knew I had to buy another one. I'm super excited to go to my 3rd music festival.